Behind me stands the Grate Wall of China. This more than 20,000 kilometer long barrier is located in the northern part of the country, and it's the only man-made structure that can be seen from space. And to make it even more impressive, it was built more than 2,000 years ago. Yet, what if I told you that out of the 3 things you just heard, 2 are actually wrong? You see, as humans, we tend to exaggerate about things that we don't fully understand. And so in this video, we ask you along to discover the true purpose, history, and size of the greatest thing humans have ever built. But to understand the real reason why the wall was built, we need to start this video from the center of China's capital, Beijing.
So what surrounds us is called the Forbidden City. And why it's called Forbidden City is because peasants like us could not enter for 500 years.
Like, would be a wonderful place to live without all of those people, right?
This place was only for the emperors, the royalty, and for some reason eunuchs have always been part of the royalty, or like not the royalty, but like part of the servants.
They just can't ruin your bloodline.
Like, they can't ruin your bloodline.
That was the place for emperor's family, and eunuchs can't ruin the bloodline.
But do you know how, like, what makes you a eunuch? How much of the stuff you have to lose?
I think different cultures cut the tree in different places.
So it's a cultural thing of...
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So they built this place 600 years ago, and it has about 8,700 rooms. Could you imagine being one of the million workers who built this place and doing those tiny wooden details under the roofs and then painting it gold, and then there's us 600 years later checking these places out and being like, this is pretty neat.
Absolutely crazy that this whole stone slab is made out of one big rock, like thousands of tons.
But what is the most surprising to me, that during 600 years there were only 2 dynasties that lived here.
Yet, if we go deeper into Chinese history, then over the past 2,500–3,000 years, there has been at least 13 different dynasties that have ruled this land. You want examples?
I want examples.
Xia, Shang, Shuo, Qin, Han, Sui, Tang, Song, Wan, Ming, Qin, and also a time when there was 3 kingdoms. Yes, I cheated.
That sounded like a tongue twister.
And if we look at the oldest parts of the Great Wall, they were actually barriers between the different families, between the different kingdoms that lived here. So, starting from the very beginning, this wall wasn't built to be like this great barrier between China and something else, but it started as just defensive architecture to protect themselves. But now let's go back to the wall to understand how it grew into what it is today. And since Mutianyu, the part of the wall that we wanted to visit, is located many kilometers outside of Beijing, there was no time to waste. I will take bus. Thank you for offering. As soon as we got to the station here, the guy has been offering us this taxi and minibus like 7 times. But there's a bus coming soon. 1 metro, 2 buses, and 3 hours later, we're almost here. But just before entering from the main gate, another surprise. So we just tried to go in from the main gate, and just before a gate, a gentleman came and tried to guide us the opposite way to buy his ticket somewhere. Clearly a scam. Yeah, we were just one undecisive moment away from being hustled at China's most famous tourist attraction. I can't believe, like, straight at the main gate, and they just let him be there, because ticket service is here. He, like, picked us off 50 meters before we got here.
We were so close. So freaking close.
But even after avoiding charlatans and buying the tickets, there was still one more obstacle between us and the wall. We simply couldn't believe that this huge thing was built on top of an actual mountain. But suddenly it was there, right in front of us. It's crazy.
See the wall.
This is 2 meters here, and see how many Joes can go to fill the wall. Bloop, 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 bloop.
It's very great. I see something to be climbed.
And after scaling the last flight of stairs, it was hard to ignore the obvious. We have made it.
We have made it.
What we could see in front of our eyes was much bigger than we could have ever imagined. At least 4 meters wide at the top and nearly 10 meters tall. It's absolutely crazy how wide the structure is.
What I find interesting is that the wall is built in the middle of China and not on the outer border of China. But I guess this only shows that unified China is a very new thing.
The size of this thing was almost impossible to comprehend. And as far as the eye could see, it twisted and turned over the mountainous terrain. The stairs, they're so steep. As we carefully climbed the steep stairs, it was difficult to find words that would describe it. And instead of finding answers, our thoughts were flooded with new questions. Why was it so big? Who built it? And why was it necessary? Yet we didn't just come here to admire the thing. And so, one step at a time, we started unraveling the mystery. And I guess the thing that always sounded the most unreal to me about this wall is its size. It's internationally accepted that it's 21,000 kilometers long. To put it in perspective, the circumference of the Earth is 40,000. So this wall, located in one country, is supposed to be longer than half of the world, like in the center, on the equator. That sounds absolutely crazy, right? Well, but believe it or not, that is the actual number. Yet, here's the thing. This 21,000 kilometers, it's not one continuous stretch. It's tens, if not hundreds of small walls combined. And the most famous part is around 8.8 thousand kilometers long, which still is very, very, very impressive. Well, yes. So far we had figured out that the Great Wall, or more accurately, the Great Walls of China, really are as long as they say. But although at first it was built as a defensive measure, then the purpose of the structure as time passed would turn into so much more. So right here before us, you can see one of the watchtowers. There's 22 on this 2-kilometer stretch, but across the whole wall, thousands. And they served many purposes. One of the obvious ones, of course, they were used for patrolling the wall, and like the soldiers could rest in them.
I like to imagine how soldiers were going up and down all of those winding mountain roads, or like up and down the wall.
Left. That's a message for all the enemies. And the Mutianyu part of the wall that we are currently on, it actually played a huge role in trade. It goes through a mountain pass and so connects two high places, and having this kind of a almost like a highway between them, was a great advantage of transporting goods. But a less talked about reason was to communicate. You could send fire signals or with mirrors just to give messages very quickly from one point to another. And therefore, the benefits in trade and infrastructure were definitely a huge reason why so many different dynasties decided to invest in developing the wall over 2 millennia. Yet the thing that most people get wrong is the actual age of this structure.
There are like parts of the wall that are more wild, that are less restored, that you could basically climb on top from the sides, and then there's like rock falls and stuff. But you must understand that, of course, this wall was not built 2,000 years ago.
So yes, if you hear somebody saying that this wall was built 2,700 years ago, then what they're actually referring to are the oldest parts of the structure, often made of wood and soil, almost indistinguishable today. But if we talk about the Great Wall that is known today, then this part was mostly built by the same dynasty that lived in the Forbidden City that we saw before. And Ming Dynasty was also the one that started building the wall out of granite and stone. Before that, there was a lot of earth walls and wooden structures, but the wall as we know it was pretty much built 700 years ago, plus minus 200 years. So the sections that visitors get to see today are the restored versions of the Ming Dynasty wall.
There is a wall door, and then all of the forwards going wall is undeveloped or like unrestored.
Out of the 20-something thousand kilometers that is widely accepted as the length of the Great Wall, like this, probably 100, if that, probably less. The clock moved quickly while discovering this incredible place. At times, it felt calm and relaxing. Yet in less than a minute, everything could change. And without warning, we were challenged both mentally. Holy crap. My fear of heights is kicking in. And physically. I must say that currently in the early winter, being up here on the wall, it's rough. It's very rough. But the thing that did not change was what we felt inside. You see, the scale of this structure is just so huge that it's almost impossible for our minds to grasp. And while in the presence of such a thing, our minds started demanding answers. From the angle of the stones, you can pretty much see how steep the wall is down that mountain. Absolutely crazy where they built it. Suddenly it didn't seem so far-fetched to think that giants or even dragons could have been involved in the construction of it. Because it just didn't seem logical that humans could build such a thing. But while those thoughts were running through our heads, we all of a sudden understood how quickly a simple story can turn into the biggest lie that is told about the Great Wall of China.
And even though we've been told since we were kids that you could see the wall from space, this is a huge lie. You absolutely cannot see it from space. You'd have to be flying pretty close to Earth to see this structure. It's still way too thin.
Yeah, it's quite funny how some of the myths and legends are born. Like, pretty much half of the world knows it as a fact that you can see it. I guess somebody just said it once and it sounded so good that everybody wanted it to be true. And I guess this here is also the reason why there is so much misinformation about this place. As humans, we have the tendency to make up stories about things that we don't fully understand. And as years pass, the line that separates facts from legends can altogether disappear. Yet after seeing this structure ourselves, I have to admit that when it comes to the Great Wall, then the facts are often even more impressive than the legends. In the span of 2,000 years, it is said that more than 400,000 people died while building it. So we can only imagine how many workers was there all together. It truly is one of the most impressive things that we have ever seen, a testament to human will and ingenuity. And even though the truth of it is not quite like we have heard from the stories, then without a doubt the Great Wall is one of the most impressive wonders of the modern world. So that was our story from the Great Wall, but what have we learned today? We have learned that if strange men approach you at the entry gate, you probably shouldn't follow them.
We have also learned that if men say something is big, it's probably not as huge that you can see it from space.
And finally, we have learned that right now is the best time to be a peasant, because in 21st century you can go to places like never before. Guys, thank you for watching, and we will see you again in a week. Take care and bye.